Hello everyone, welcome back. This is Mandy and I'm going to try to do a bloom on this MDF round. This is a 12-inch round and I normally prime the top of it. I didn't. So I'm just kind of living on the edge a little bit today. So we're going to go ahead and put down our Glidden house paint. This is Glidden Premium in Eggshell. And I do have a mixing video listed below for what I use in my blooms, so you're welcome to check that out. This is probably too much, but let me go ahead and empty the container out. There are some bubbles in here, so give me a sec. Okay, I whacked it on the thing a couple times just to see if I could pop any of them. And I popped a couple, but there's definitely still some in there. So that's annoying, but let's work through it. So these are the colors I want to use today. I have what I envision in my head, but you know how that goes. So I just mixed this Nickel Azo Gold from Golden. This is Quinacridone Nickel Azo Gold. I feel like you guys may not be able to see very well. We'll do our best. So this is that color. I'm going to put a nice puddle of that in the middle. I just mixed it up, which is not advisable to turn around and pour with it because there's usually bubbles, and we already have bubbles, so not ideal, but whatever. We're doing it. Next one, I'm just going to put a little bit of this one on here. This is Indigo from Matisse, which is a beautiful blue. Just putting it in there to kind of balance all of the warm, rusty colors that we're using. So I'm just going to kind of sprinkle it in here. It's not my goal to make it a major color, just enough to add a little contrast. And next up is Spiced Plum. And this is part of the new Primary Elements set. I love it. Look at that. The lighting is not being my friend today. It's a little better. My other light is in the garage and my husband's using it, so. Okay, we'll make do. So, beautiful, beautiful color. Don't forget that right now, if you order this set, you get a free PrizmPour color. So check out the code in the description box below so you can save 20%. The code is Mandy1120. We're going to put a nice puddle of this on there. So let's see here. Sorry if you heard some music. My husband came in from the garage. Okay, so that's Spiced Plum. I have some more bubbles, so. All right, next up is Blue Velvet. This is a PrizmPour color. It's a beautiful color. So we're going to put a nice amount of that one over here. Okay. My puddle is probably way too big. That's what I do. I use too much paint, you know? We all have our stuff. This one is called Blushing Pumpkin. This is from the new set as well, Rustic Autumn. It's a beautiful, beautiful color, and it's a lot brighter than the camera's picking up. So I'm going to use a nice amount of this one. This is really our bright color, because I'm going to use the black cell activator mostly because that's what I have mixed up. But this is our bright color, so I'm using a lot of it because we don't have a lot of bright in this one. I don't usually put a pigment underneath the cell activator. Sometimes I do. Sometimes we live on the edge, but I'm just going to put a touch of Australian Red Violet right on top of that underneath our cell activator. These stupid bubbles are really getting on my reserve nerve, you know what I mean? It's all right. I popped a bunch of them off camera too. So this is Australian Red Violet from Matisse. Hands down one of my favorite colors of all the time. I'm just going to put a small puddle This is a little thicker than my other paint, so a little nervous about that. Okay, my cell activator today is M Gram Lamp Black, I think. And it's mixed with Australian Floetrol. I get this from Blick, and I really like this as a cell activator. I haven't tried the other colors, but I hear they work well as well. I like it because it gives you all these cute tiny little cells. So it cells up nicely like an Amsterdam paint would, but I just really enjoy the cell structure you get with it. And I'm gonna try my Babyliss hair dryer again. If you follow my channel, you will notice that I've done it once. I've used it once, and it's here to stay now because I got paint on it. So, oops, look what I did, y'all. So I'm gonna open this up a little bit. So I'm gonna get right in your way. I'm basically just enlarging the target. And now I'm gonna hit it with the hair dryer. Okay. And I'm going to do cool and low. Start up high. You'll notice I went all over the place because I didn't do a great job blowing it out. This one part's still a little sketchy, but if I blow it out now with the blow dryer, it's probably gonna mess up. So I might try from way up here. No? Done that. Let me quit while I'm ahead. This is, I can swirly or something here, but you see how it over-wrecked those cells? So I don't know if I can recover this, but let's see. I love the colors. I blew into the pillow a little bit over here. I'm still getting used to it. It's got like kind of the perfect power without being too strong, but it's like, once you start messing up a blowout, it's really easy to kind of ruin it. But there's some good stuff. So let's see. I'm going to share it with you guys anyway, even if it doesn't live. Let's see if we can fix it. I just have to learn from my mistake and not let this sit so long like I did the last time. I'm just breaking the surface tension in the middle a little bit. I just got my hair in the paint, so that's nice. It's always nice. My hair gets in everything. Yesterday I almost got it in some resin. Okay, some of this over here, I don't know if you guys can see this. So some of this is really pretty right here, and we're probably gonna lose it. Nickel Azo Gold is one of those colors that looks super ugly until you use it, and then you're like, wow, that's a beautiful color. Who knew, right? So, and it looks good with everything. So I zoomed you guys in a little bit so you can hopefully see some of what's happening. We didn't have the greatest blowout right here, and that's also kind of where I messed it up. So I plan to kind of do some swirlies. This part is really cool, and I'm probably gonna lose it. So we do what we can. So let's see. Okay, I'm not good at blowing things with my mouth, but I'm trying to get a little better. I need to practice, and I don't like to practice because I don't like to be bad at things. I'm like that little kid that needs a pep talk, you know? Like, it's gonna get better if you keep trying. You know, you're doing great. But I'm a grown-up, so I shouldn't have to have a pep talk. I should be old enough to know that you have to practice things before you get good at them. That's just life, everyone. Especially with this technique. It's hard. It's rewarding, but it's hard. Okay. I'm gonna start embellishing because I don't want to let this sit too long because then it'll get wiggly on us. I learned that the hard way a couple times. So let me get a wipey and let's just go. And also, so much of the design is going this way. Come back over here with the rest of us, you know? Okay, I also need to move the hairdryer because when we spin, it's gonna get dirty. Okay. So this part, I don't like that much. So let's see here. It's not the greatest work either. But let's see if we can't kind of take this approach. There's kind of some harsh black cell activator there that I'm not sure how well it's going to pan out. Let's see where else we need to move some things around. This is not the greatest right here. Just trying to pull some color in there. Cover up that white. And have some serious bubbles to pop here in a little bit. Uh-oh. I don't think that what I just did is going to work. I'm really tempted to mess with these bubbles because they're really bothering me, but I don't know that now is a good time for that, you know what I mean? So let's come back here, draw some little swirlies. Kind of have a piece of fuzz over here somewhere. Let's find it. Oh, look what I just did. Gosh, this is not going all that well. So I accidentally pulled some of the pillow paint up. That's probably gonna fly off. Let's hope. Just in case it doesn't, let's do that. I don't even know if you guys can see very well what I'm doing. Yeah, you can sort of see that. Okay, now over here, we have some stuff that's not the greatest, but I also can't afford to wait much longer to spin this little guy. Okay. I feel like we have a lot of negative space here. Let's give it a little spin and see what happens. I also feel like we have a lot more of the design going off this side than over here, but I don't want to tilt it because if I tilt it, my cells are probably going to get a little wonky. So let's just see what happens when we spin it out. It's brighter than I expected. Look at that nickel azo gold popping in here. You gotta love that color. It's just so weird how it goes with everything. It's a weird color. Let me get my toothpick because there's one bubble here that if I don't pop, it's gonna create some problemos. And I have paint all over me, you guys. And so many bubbles. I may have to pause you guys and come after these bubbles with a vengeance. And my hand is not always steady enough, so sometimes I pop them and I wiggle by accident and it messes up everything. Like this stupid bubble that is a problematic bubble, it won't pop when I pop it. It's in the pillow too, so it's going to pop as it dries. So I'm just kind of popping the superficial ones by blowing like that. That's not really going to do a lot for the deep ones, but it does help with these superficial ones. There's some parts of this I really like. It is not my best work. This over here, not great. This over here, not great. So I'd like to get some of that off. The only problem is like this right here, I love that. And it's gonna go when we get everything else gone. The other thing is this part in the middle that's not that great. It's not really opening up to be that great either. And so I'm a little concerned that as we continue to spin, it's not going to have a great composition. So I'm not sure if I should keep messing with it a little bit or just say, you know, it is what it is. Going bigger on blooms is challenging. 12-inch bloom is not necessarily what you might consider a large bloom, but it's harder to control the composition on a larger bloom, you know? And so it's like some days you'll have a huge win and then other days you will not. It's very frustrating, but it's part of the deal, part of the practice. Let's spin a little bit more, see if we can get some of the icky parts off. I love the colors. The colors kind of went together like I had in my mind. I just thought that my blowout would be a little bit better. I kind of want to step away from this and see if I like it better after I step away, because there's parts of it I just don't like right now. I love the blue velvet. I think it looks great with this pumpkin color. I think the red violet looks good in the middle. We've got some really cool, colorful cells, multicolored cells in the middle, which is really cool. Always a win. But it's just some of these parts on the outside where I did not do a good job blowing it out. So it's not the colors I don't like, it's the composition. And some of this I like so much, like this one part that I'm messing with right now. I like some of the cells here so much, but then right next to it, I don't like that. And so I feel like it takes away from this that is there. And I don't know a way that I would, you know, hang this. Well, you wouldn't hang this necessarily, but like maybe put it on an easel. I don't know which direction it would go that wouldn't be distracting. So now tell me if I'm over analyzing it, because you guys know I do that. If it's not perfect, I'm like, off with its head, you know? My husband saves so many paintings. He's like, what's wrong with it? It's beautiful. And I'm like, really? I think it looks like garbage. So he definitely rescues things from the garbage quite often. The part that I struggle with the most on this painting is this part and this part. I think if I can get this weird block of color off, that might help me a little bit. I'm not sure though. And I'm gonna lose some of the parts that I like to do it, which I guess them's the breaks, right? It's not really going off very fast. We still have quite a bit of paint on there. This is the way things go in my brain. I love this part, but it's like the only part that has that pop of gold. Oh no, it's right here too. This part just really bothers me. But art is not perfect. And I have to get over thinking that it will be all the time, because it's not. You have days where you're just like, yes, nailed it, woo! And then other days that you're just like, why did I decide painting was a good idea today? And today is apparently one of those days. Love the colors though. And I think this pumpkin color with the blue velvet is pretty delicious. And the spiced plum in there creates some really nice depth of color. Woo! That was a hefty spin. Okay, so we're getting some of the stuff stretched out, which is evening out the composition a little bit. I did lose some of my favorite part, but I didn't entirely lose it. So what do you guys think? Like, you can be kind, but you can also be honest. Like, would you call this one a win? Would you scrape it? What do you think? There's some paint goobers in here I have to get. I'm gonna pop some bubbles. Let me see if we need to get any more off. I would like to get this just a little bit more off. I think I could digest it a little bit better if I did. It wouldn't distract me so much, that one part of the edge. Hey, I kind of did it. I didn't do a great job embellishing that part. So I'm gonna pop a couple bubbles and I'll bring you down for a close-up, but I am curious what you think. I love the colors together. It's got like this really cool fall, but like bright blue vibe. Love the colors. Resined, it's gonna be beautiful, but I'm trying to decide, how would you display it where this part on the bottom that's closest to me would not be uber distracting? It's kind of wild looking anyway. So in my mind, you could put it down like this so it's at the bottom, or I don't know, you could go like this. Can't really do that. That can't be on the top, I don't think. So I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking it, but that's why when I'm unsure how something's going to turn out, sometimes I use an MDF round. Because if it turns out great, you resin it, you put it on an easel, woohoo, beautiful. But if not, you know, it's good to practice on. Records are also fun to practice on. Sometimes the cells get a little more wonky on a record, but let me know what you think. I wish there was a way that I could make this better, like right now. But I've played that game before where I try to mess with something after it's already stretched out, and it doesn't usually go very well. So yeah, not sure about that. So I'm going to bring you down. You let me know what you think. Don't forget about the discount codes in the description box, not only for Colourarte, but for Pixel Paint Designs, where I'll show you in Floetrol, Boom Gels, all the things. And let me know what you think about this. This ring light is casting a little bit of a glare on here, huh? Sorry about that. All right, I'll be right back. Everyone, so here it is. I think one of the things that stands out to me is it feels a little busy to me, just because, you know, you have some bright color kind of spread out everywhere. So I do like the colors a lot together. And it may not actually be busy, you know, when it dries and it's resin, it'll be different. But here is one of my favoriteest parts. Like, whoo, that nickel azo gold with that blue velvet is pretty amazing. And look at the cells right here. Come on. That's so good right there. I really like that. If that would just do it everywhere, I would like that. But you know, that's how it goes. Here is, we're kind of going around the world here. I love these cells here, and even in the center. Look how beautiful those are. This is another part where I didn't have the greatest blowout, but I can live with how this is, you know, it's kind of just something. But, you know, we got some of the weirdness off. I can live with that. Back to the center here. I like this part mostly. This is another place where we kind of blew into the pillow. Not the highlight of the piece, perhaps, but not too shabby. And then I really love this part. Again, like, I wouldn't mind trying this nickel azo gold with the blue velvet and maybe kind of a softer not, the Spice Plum is fine, but maybe not something quite as bright as the Australian Red Violet. I think that would look really cool with that kind of stretched out over the bottom. All right, and here's the part I'm not too fond of. If I take a step back and I look at the whole thing, I think because I made it, I'm immediately drawn to that. Like, what the heck happened there? But I think if one of you guys made it, I would be like, wow, I really like this. So sometimes I think we have to walk away and see what we think later. But this hands down right here is probably my favorite part. So anyway, I hope you like it. Let me know what you think. It is pretty. The colors went together kind of how I intended. I think I used a little too much red violet. It kind of dominated the center, but red violet's a beautiful color, so that's not too bad. But I do like the softer shade of the spiced plum a little bit more than the in your face of the red violet. So I think I probably could have just used a little less and it would have been fine. But I do like it. I think the colors are fabulous, of course. The camera makes this blushing pumpkin color look a lot softer, but it is a pretty bright color. So yeah. So let me know what you think. I appreciate your support. If you're new to my channel, I would love it if you would like and subscribe and say hello. You know, not every painting is a disaster, but I do try to share things with you guys that are maybe not my best. Thanks for watching.